Hello and welcome in. I'm WCA3 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty. It is 7:47 p.m. here on this Monday night as we prepare for what is going to be a potential major winter storm to strike right on parts of central Illinois. Over the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to go in depth on this storm. Talk about everything you need to know as far as timing goes, the amounts, snow, ice, the blowing and drifting snow here. We'll talk about what kind of snow it's going to be, a wet or a fluffy snow. Hey, is it good for making snowmen, snowball fights, the sledding forecast? Some really interesting things about this storm system that could rival some of the biggest snows we have ever had in central Illinois. And again, we're going to break it all down for you. I know there's going to be a lot of you watching from all across parts of Illinois, maybe even down into Missouri and Indiana. I'm also curious as to where you guys are coming from. I'm actually going to have your chat pulled up here where I can read all of your comments, and maybe we'll take some time to answer some of your questions about this storm system here as well. We'll talk about some of the things, maybe some limiting factors. Why would we not get to some of these high snowfall forecast amounts that we're talking about, but why there's a high confidence that we are going to make it to that. So again, when we have time for questions, hold off on those. I'll tell you when I'm looking at the chat, and then we can try to answer some of those for you. But this could be the big one, okay? We've not had any snow hardly at all this entire season. We may get almost an entire season's snowfall amount just with this storm. Let's get to the graphics. Winter storm warning is in effect here, okay? So I know you're saying, okay, what about me down in Charleston and Mattoon and Paris and Shelbyville, down in Effingham, and what about us? Why aren't we in that warning yet? Okay, well, the Weather Service has opted not to kind of pull the trigger on you guys because there's a little bit of uncertainty for this area here because you're going to have more in the way of freezing rain, some sleet in there. It's going to lower some of the totals there. But there's a huge but here. If the cold front pushes more to the south and you get more of that cold air in place, you guys could still get some of those higher amounts as well. They're still going to kind of wait to nail that part down. So I anticipate tomorrow you're going to get added to this probably in some form or fashion, a winter storm warning. If there's more ice, maybe it goes ice storm warning. And yes, I will not rule out the potential for blizzard conditions to occur. Now, there's certain criteria you have to hit. It has to do with winds and visibility, okay? And you've got to have a certain level of that to constitute a blizzard. It's going to be pretty darn close. If it's not officially, it's going to be real close. Okay, let's look at, I want to show you, this is a new product here that just came out, and it's called the Winter Severity Index, okay? And so this is something that basically the NOAA, the Weather Service, they put together, and it talks about, how severe of an event could this be. And I want you to look at the different colors here, okay? You've got kind of this light blue, which is limited. Yellow is minor. Orange is moderate, so there's a lot of moderate in there. But you've got major impacts, which is from Springfield to Decatur along that I-72 corridor and I-74 here. But look at this purple that shows up. Purple is extreme. That's into Ford, Iroquois, parts of Livingston County there, that on their what's called the Winter Severity Index, they've got this thing to the extreme category. That doesn't happen too often here. There could be some just unbelievable impacts up here into Ford, Iroquois County, as we mentioned. So I just kind of want to show you that severity index because it's a new product that they came out with here. I think it's going to become really difficult to do any travel by the time we hit tomorrow, or I should say Wednesday morning, and then again Thursday morning. Extremely difficult, if not impossible. If we get the winds that will blow and drift this snow, that's going to be an issue. Also, shout out to all the snowplow drivers out there, whether you work for the city, the state, or you're just a local guy doing it for your business there. You guys are going to be busy, and you guys are definitely going to be needed here. But you guys have a major challenge ahead of you as well, because The fact that we're going to have rain initially to start out on Tuesday. Normally, a lot of the state and local, and city plow drivers, they go out, they throw the salt down, okay? And they throw the salt down, then the snow comes, and the salt obviously will help melt that away. The issue we have is we are going to have rain that will wash away that salt. It'll be a very small window of opportunity for them to put salt down, okay, to pre-treat the roads. So the pre-treating of the roads is going to be really, really difficult with this because we're going to start things out with a bunch of rain to begin with here. And that's what your Tuesday and Tuesday evening is essentially going to be. Let's take a look at it here as we break down the timing. Tomorrow is the rain day. So if you still need to get out and about, grab some things. You can do that, especially tomorrow morning. I think the rain comes in around midday and points thereafter. Tuesday night is going to be the big transition from rain to a little bit of that snow. And then we got a few different rounds here, okay? This is going to come in multiple rounds. Let me stress to you, multiple rounds. There will be a break in between the two, it looks like, as well. So after that first round comes through and you say, we only got 4, 5 inches. What is this? There's a second round that's going to come through, so don't let your guard down. Here's what's going to make tomorrow, again, interesting is it's going to be 50, possibly down near Effingham. There's a cold front. The big question is, how far south does the cold front get? How far south does that cold air eventually get to I-70, points to the south? And we think that it is going to make it that far south. But the question is how quick does it get there? Look at the temperatures at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. You're still 37 in Mattoon and Paris, so you're still possibly rain down there. But now, Champaign, you're 32. Now you're talking freezing rain, some sleet in there. All snow, though. Look at Watseka, Pontiac. You guys stay below freezing after tomorrow evening for several days. And that's why we think up there you're going to see a long duration for snow to occur. Then that cold air pushes all the way through, and look at everybody here by Thursday morning. It's a no doubt snow maker here with temperatures that are into the teens. Here again is a look at the front, okay? Again, the position of the front, how far south it gets, how quick does that cold air get in here. This is 1:30 tomorrow. Notice we've got a little bit of rain. It's still fairly mild, but that cold air, here it comes, and we start to see the transition. But I want you to notice that's 8:30 p.m. Watch how long portions of, say, Ford and Iroquois, McLean, Livingston County, you guys are going to be into that blue there, okay? So now you're talking 5 o'clock in the morning, but you're still in this purple, which is the mix of maybe sleet and freezing rain. So down here into Coles, Edgar, Clark, Cumberland, Shelby, Effingham counties, you're talking about more freezing rain, which will lower your totals. But look at this. North of I-74 and I-72, that is all snow. And snow rates, you're talking, an inch an hour, maybe even higher. I mean, it's not out of the question here into these some of these heavier bands. So early Wednesday morning, travel, very difficult. 11 a.m., still snowing. But watch what happens into the evening hours. Things start to calm down. There will be a lull in precipitation. Come 5 o'clock Wednesday night, here comes the next round, 10:30 p.m., out of the south here, and the next round ramps up. This is going to be where we're going to start to kick in a lot of winds here as well. Winds gusting to 30 and even 40 miles per hour. That is going to cause blowing and drifting of the snow that's already fell, but then you're adding in snow that's going to be just whipping around real good and causing issues here. And then things tapering off later into Thursday afternoon, gone by Thursday night. But not before we drop a lot of snow here again. Here's another view of this on the future track. There's your freezing rain, and that is what the big question is. How much of the freezing rain and sleet do we have that will lower some of the totals here? We think it's going to be brief for areas like Champaign, Danville, Decatur, and Springfield, and maybe a little bit longer duration closer to I-70. There's your snow, there's your break, and then again, that next round coming in as we head into Thursday. So just kind of a double view there of the future track. How much are we talking? Well, we are sticking with our 12 to 18-inch snowfall forecast. This is kind of unfathomable because we don't put out forecasts like this very often. And I will say, if you've probably seen maybe some other forecasts, and they have even higher amounts. Climatologically, it is really, 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 really hard to get amounts higher than 18 inches. As a matter of fact, it's like barely ever happened. The most snow we've ever had on the ground in Champaign, ever, snow depth, was 19 inches. 19 is the most we've ever had on the ground, okay? Now, the most snow we've had in a 24-hour period, that was 15 inches. The thing with this is going to be a long duration event. It's going to take a while. You're going to have that round come through Tuesday night into Wednesday, and you're going to have a break, and then the next one coming in Thursday. So we're not going to actually, do all of this just in 24 hours. So we're going to see this in multiple waves. There's going to be a sharp grade. The big area of uncertainty is kind of here into Edgar, I'd say Coles, Cumberland, Clark, Shelby County, where you're going to be on this gradient because of cutting down your totals with the freezing rain and the sleet. So the question is boy, parts of Coles County and Edgar County, you could see a big range in the snow. Say in the northwest corner, maybe you're at 12 inches, but maybe in the southeast corner, it may only be around 4 or 5 inches of snow. It's just a matter of where does that sharp gradient set up here. We think this is a general idea, a general kind of a guess. And here's what I'll do. I'm just going to take this full screen for a second so you guys can see it even better. There is a look at the snowfall totals that we are going with here. I'm going to get to some of the ice totals here in just a second. So bear with me on that here. And we'll talk about what the ice is going to be like. I'm just going to switch to that graphic here right now. Okay, so here comes your ice now, and we think that, a tenth, 2/10 of an inch of ice is not out of the question. You know what? It's could be higher down there, and that's the question. If you get higher ice totals, you'll probably have lower snow totals. But either way, boy, you could get both of those. That could really be a big issue up there, or down there, I should say, because you're going to have a huge glaze of ice, and then you're going to have some snow on top of that. And then you're going to have the winds kind of kicking in here as well, and that could cause some big issues here. So here's just kind of another little recap of things for you. Got some areas, maybe 12 to 8 inches. You're going to have some wind chill values that are going to be really low here as well, possibly below zero as we head into Thursday there and Friday. Big concern possibly where ice is for power outages. Obviously, we think closer to I-70. And obviously some very dangerous travel. Just quickly here, I'll show you the wind chill values. They're going to be down there, a few degrees below zero, and then into Friday there as well as the cold air. You put a snowpack down, and you're going to have, those really low wind chills. So here's a look at kind of what we know. It's going to come in two waves. Travel becomes nearly impossible. Heaviest snow north of I-74 with ice accumulations likely closer to I-70. Blowing and drifting of snow, especially those of you who live out in the country, that could be a real big issue. You're talking about, 4 or 5 feet snow drifts there. If you live out in the country, you know what I'm talking about, okay? The rural areas. All precipitation is going to be ending by Friday morning, probably even by Thursday night, okay? So there's kind of a look at things. Okay, I'll say this. I know a lot of you are skeptical of the forecast. Many of you are skeptical of us as meteorologists just in general, for whatever reason. But I know some of you watching are, and that's fine. And we'll take the ridicule and we'll take the you're never right and all that, and it is what it is. Based upon all information that we have at our disposal right now, this looks to be a major event. Now, people question, hey, are we really going to get that much? I even questioned, I was like, are you kidding me? These are wild numbers to be putting out here. There's no hyping of this. If anything, we've kind of underdone the numbers, because if you look at some of the other models, they actually show more. We want you to be prepared. We want you to be prepared in case this does turn into what we're forecasting. Now, I know some of you want this snow. I know some of you rely upon it maybe for your business. I know a whole other half of you don't want any of this. You don't want to drive in it. You've got friends or loved ones that have to be out in it, or you have to try to make it to work in it. I get it. And all the other many issues that go along with this, okay? Whether you like the snow or you don't like the snow, either way, you need to be prepared in case we get the snow. And that's what we do. That's what I got into this business for, was to inform people about the potential impacts of major weather events, whether it be severe weather or winter weather. Now, yes, is this a science? Could the science dictates what's going to happen. We are readers of that science, trying to predict what's going to happen. And we're doing our best job to try to bring you the latest information as it comes into us at our disposal, and use all of our skills to be able to put together the best forecast for you to be informed and prepare. That's what we do. That's why I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm happy to do it. Let's hope that, everybody stays safe with this. There are going to be accidents. There are going to be issues. There are going to be other things that come up. People using space heaters. People using maybe generators if they lose power. Those can be very dangerous. If we get 18 inches of snow, the weight of snow on your roof, things like that you don't ever really think about. Snow possibly piling up over your intake, your air intake for your home, and kind of covering that up. That's not a good thing. There's just a whole host of things that can occur here that can really turn bad. So, I just kind of wanted to touch on that there a little bit. Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to look at something else now. It's kind of an interesting little graphic that we're able to look at, and it's the probability of, say, certain snowfall amounts. And what I'm going to do is we're going to come over here, and I'm going to zoom this in a little bit more so you can kind of see it maybe a little bit better. But it's the probability of 1 inch of snow or more. And look at that. You've got, 99% chance. That's just 1 inch. But let's have some fun, and we're going to look at some of the other ones. Let's do, sorry about that. Hold on here. Okay, that's 1 inch. So now let's do 2 inches. Probability of 2 inches, still at 99%. Let's do probability of 4. You're still at 98%. Look at that. I mean, these are super high numbers. 98% chance of 4 inches or more. Let's keep it going. Okay, we're still at 95% here. Notice it drops off down there towards Mattoon and, say, Paris. But we're still at 95% chances of 6 inches or more. Let's go to 8. We're still at an 89% chance of 8 inches or more. These are just huge numbers. Now, here's where those numbers will start to drop off a little bit. But still, almost a 7 in 10 chance of 12 inches or more. Champaign. Look at Lincoln, it's 75% chance. But notice areas like Mattoon and Paris. Now you're down to 13, 9%, a lot lower. And then we go to 18 inches or more. And in some form or fashion and somehow, parts of Ford and Iroquois County are still, let's say 40% chance there of 18 inches or more. Those are some wild statistics. How about this next graphic? So many of you are going to be asking, how much snow are we going to get in my city? And so here's a look at a list of some of the towns, okay? Some of the things, some of the towns, and find your town that's maybe closest. And this is just kind of a breakdown of the potential of snow and ice. Okay? Pick the town closest to you. That's generally what we're thinking for your areas. Now, could this change? Yeah, of course it could change here. We are forecasting some really high amounts. I mean, these numbers are just wild. Ford, Iroquois, Livingston, McLean counties. I think you guys could see some of the highest amounts there. You work your way down to, Cumberland County and Effingham County. You're talking less amounts. Clark County, but these are still some really, really high numbers that we've got here. How about this for some fun? I get this question a lot. Is it going to be good for making snowmen? Yeah, it is. It's going to start out as kind of a wet snow, eventually turn to kind of a more fluffier snow, but I think you're going to have no problem out there building the snowman and going sledding. Like I said, it'll start wet, turn to fluffy there. You're going to have lots of opportunities to get out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but it's going to be cold, so kind of keep that in mind there as well. Okay, I'm going to take a couple minutes here, and we will look at some of your potential questions that you have. I've had a lot of people asking about, is this going to rival the 1978 blizzard? And I caution to try to make any comparisons to, some of those previous events there. From a snow aspect, okay, we could rival some of those numbers. I believe I looked and it was like somewhere between 15 and 20 inches as what the blizzard of 78 had. But the blizzard had even higher winds and just bitter cold, like wind chills that were like, I don't know, like maybe 40 below zero, something wild like that. So I don't want to, instantly kind of compare it to that. But I will say this could go down as, a top 3 snowstorm for parts of central Illinois. We'll see how it plays out, but it definitely has that potential here. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to look at some of your guys' potential questions here. All right, I'm supposed to drive from Champaign. Here we go. Supposed to drive from Champaign to Springfield for work around 6 a.m. Thursday morning. How likely is it I can make that drive if I have no choice? Thanks for all you do. Well, I caution, every time I try to answer one of these questions to people. I am not here, obviously. I can't make the decision, for you on what you should do in these kind of questions of, can I get out in this? Can I drive in this? Because I get it. Some people, they have no choice and they've got to do it. I will say this, if you're going to do it and you're going to pull the trigger, you better be prepared. You better be prepared to possibly get stuck. You better be prepared for people not to be able to come and rescue you immediately. You got to have things in your car, okay? You got to have, a good sense of how to drive in this kind of, weather here. Now, there may be periods of time where it is almost impossible to do it, and your hand will be forced and you won't be able to make those drives. Could the state of Illinois, in some counties, put a travel ban out and pretty much, forbid you from traveling if conditions are warranted and are bad enough here. There may become a time when the counties or cities pull snowplow drivers off of the roads. We had that, I believe, last year, and they pulled them. That makes it even worse then, because either it's too dangerous for them, or the snow is just blowing right back over everything that they plowed, and so it's kind of pointless. So I will say this: Thursday morning travel is going to be extremely difficult. So could you? You might be able to, but you're risking a lot if you're going to get out in weather like this. Okay. Here comes kind of another one here. I've got a question. When is the rain going to taper off to freezing rain? Does I have to drive from Villa Grove to Danville at 3 p.m. on Tuesday? You're fine. Tomorrow afternoon, you're fine. The freezing rain probably doesn't kick in until after, say, 7 o'clock. So I think you're good for Tuesday. Lori asks, what about the wind? Winds could be gusting 30 to 35 miles an hour. That could become a big issue when it comes to the blowing and drifting of any of the snow here. So again, that's a huge thing there you're going to have. Okay, is thunder snow possible on the heaviest bands? I don't necessarily see that. I just don't see that. It'd be really cool if we did have it, though. In my opinion, what days should schools around Champaign close? Well, I have zero influence on that, to be honest. But I will say that there's a good chance that there may not be school Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday in some areas. It's definitely plausible. I think, I think it's possible, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Let's see here. Shanna, stay safe. Thanks for the updates. You're welcome. Yeah, don't forget about your animals out there. Definitely want that. When will the ice start in Effingham? There's a question here. Chris, I think you're probably going to start to see that after midnight tomorrow night and into very early on Wednesday morning. What's Friday looking like? Friday, actually, the snow and ice will be done. You'll just have a ton you're cleaning up, and then the cold. Bitter cold. Again, 15 below zero wind chills expected on Friday. Some very chilly temperatures. Okay. I'm just reading through your comments. Will roads be closed? It's definitely possible. I mean, let's see here. Any chances of 20 inches? Well, I mean, never say never. I mean, again, what's wild about these numbers is climatologically, we haven't had anything like that happen, at least when I looked in Champaign. Like I said, we had 19 inches of snow on the ground is the most snow depth ever. So if you got something like 20, I mean, that's that's a generational snow event. So, I mean, pretty wild stuff if we could get any kind of numbers like that. Okay, let's see here. Hey, thank you. You know what, Juanita, I appreciate it. Thanks for being there and love my attitude and honesty. Listen, I'm going to give it to you straight, whether you like it or not. And that's just kind of what it is. We're going to tell you exactly what we're seeing in terms of the forecast, and I'm gonna tell you how it's going to be to the best of my ability, and share the information that I've got at my disposal here. So that's what we do. Not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to overhype it either. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I saw a good one there. What's our window to get milk and bread on Tuesday? Well, if you don't want to encounter any rain at all, go in the morning. I think you're going to be braving everyone else, and hopefully they have restocked the shelves, because I know a lot of people went out tonight, and I heard it was pretty wild out there. But if you're still going to be good as far as the wintry precipitation goes through like 5 o'clock tomorrow night, so that's fine too. But after sunset, then you're going to start to get that temperature really coming down. Boom, bada, boom. Illinois basketball. It's funny. I've already had some people asking about the game on Wednesday. I think Wisconsin, they're gonna get down here. They're probably gonna still have the game. Maybe won't be as full of a crowd, but I think the game still plays. Boom, ba-da-da. What would change this to being a blizzard? Winter storm to a blizzard. So, Caitlin, you've got to have a couple different things here. Wind sustained gusts of 35 miles per hour, or visibility less than a quarter of a mile for 3 hours or more, I believe is the exact criteria. So you need those things to occur. It's actually, a blizzard is not actually a function of snowfall amounts. There's nothing to it. You could have a blizzard with 6 inches of snow. If you have the wind that creates visibility, less than a quarter of a mile, and that blowing of that snow there. And it's actually not a function of the amount itself. So if we get the winds with that snow there, then that's what would make this eventually a blizzard. Let's see here. When is the rain to change to snow? As a city bus driver who drives third shift, I need to know. Rain to snow will occur, well, it depends on, I guess you're in Champaign, I'm going to guess, will occur, probably 10 p.m. tomorrow night, and then all night long, kind of transition between rain to freezing rain, sleet, and some snow in there. And Joe wants to know how the Cubs are going to do this season. I just hope they have a baseball season, Joe. Chances of power outages in the Charleston area, I think are, it's definitely possible, because we think there's going to be a little bit more icing down into Coles, Cumberland, maybe southern Edgar, Clark, and Shelby counties. Okay, cool. All right, so we answered hopefully a lot of your guys' questions there. I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. We've been going nonstop here all evening long, and or all afternoon long here too. We got a really busy next few days coming up here. Here's the thing, guys. All of the storms here, these little waves as they come through, are going to really pack a punch with them. Listen, Central Illinois, we get snow, every season here. This one, if it lives up to what all of the model data is showing us, it could be a pretty historic snowstorm. But here's actually a positive thing to this. With these two waves coming through, there is going to be that lull on Wednesday evening. Now, what that's going to do is, if we get a break of 5 to 6 hours, these snowplow drivers are going to be able to get out. They're going to clear things out, take care of the roads, and that will help. It helps in that this is not all kind of one event here. It's going to come in 2 different waves here. So the fact that you have that little wall is actually probably going to help with that, and having that little break there. Whereas if you just had it be constant, then there would be possibly more issues, and they don't get a chance to go out and plow it and do anything. So I think that is maybe some positiveness to this, at least from the snow plowing kind of aspect of things, is you're going to have that little break there when that comes through. So that'll be maybe the only thing, because other than that, once it does start snowing there, I mean, it's going to rock and roll, and then you're going to have the blowing and the drifting of that snow out there as well. So it could be kind of a big deal there. I know that we've had several thousand of you that just did tune in to our Facebook Lives here. We're going to be doing multiple of these here over the next several days. We're going to be out in the storm tracker. We're going to be, all hands on deck here from the news and from the weather standpoint here as well. And we got Jacob that's in here now. Jacob just walked in here, and I'll let him add in any other final thoughts here with this as well. Because again, we are going to be kind of tracking this, hour by hour as it rolls in. We encourage you to send pictures, your snowfall amounts, all of that stuff to us as well. And that's all at weather@wcia.com or news@wcia.com. Any of those are going to work well. Is your mic on?
I think it is. Is it working? It looks like it is.
I think it is.
Are we towards the end, or?
We are, yeah, we are towards the end here. We kind of went through it all, but, maybe some people coming in late here. Any thoughts here? What do you think? What are you thinking? Are we really going to get 18 inches of snow? You kidding me?
Well, I think we can let the people on Facebook know that if there's a 24-inch snow report.
Yeah. I'm eating a shoe.
Yeah. I mean,
if somebody out there gets 24 inches, and don't just go out and find a drift.
Yeah. To think of a snow event of this magnitude, I was looking at some of the data yesterday, the historical data and the big numbers and whatnot. Technically, this would fall as a 2-day snow event.
The winter severity index there too, in the extreme category for our friends up there.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that's because of differences in NWS offices. You think that probably will be pulled as confidence continues to increase. When you think of an event of this magnitude, some of those historical events that stick out obviously every event is unique, but some of those highest 2-day snowfall totals, 99 in January. I was a kindergartner. We had about 18 inches of snow in Gibson City then, and it collapsed the roof on the manufacturing plant. Mm-hmm. You talk about just the 70s, that pops up here. I don't want to say this is going to be like the 70s. Every event is unique, but I think this is going to be one of those events where years and years later, and especially the kids in today's generation, the kids are in school now, they're going to talk about this to their grandkids about, the 2020s was that big snow event.
That big snow event. When was that? Wasn't there something else going on that was big down there? Was a pandemic or something?
Yeah. It's all relevant, and you want to try and compare it. We come up with the same thing usually with tornado events. Everyone thinks if it's a big tornado event, it's November 17th, 2013, or they think of December 1st, 2018, or now they're thinking of December 10th, 2021. There's big time events, but they're all different. They affect people in different ways, but this one definitely affecting about everywhere, whether it's the snow or the ice, and in different forms here.
Well, what's interesting is you're going to have some of the major population centers of Springfield, Decatur, Champaign, Danville. I mean, you guys are all in that highest kind of range of 12 to 18 inches. So, you're hitting 70% of our, population, with those cities.
And the problem, too, with maps like this is everyone's attracted to the purple. Their eyes catch to the red. Oh, I'm in Effingham. I'm in Mattoon. I'm in Paris. That's lower impacts for me on the winter severity index. The problem is with that, obviously, rightfully so, we look at the purple and we just, we're at the extreme level here. Impacts are going to be high area-wide. They may come at different times. It may take a little time for, Wednesday may be a miss of no snow down in some of those areas south of 70. It's Thursday when you catch up with it there, but it's the ice also that's going to be a concern in my mind. You get a 1/4 inch of ice accumulating on things as a minimum, as our ice graphic has, and you talk about the wind that comes Wednesday night into Thursday. Some of these areas down here, we've got a 1/4 inch of ice, almost a 1/2 inch of ice. You have to start thinking in those terms of power outages and infrastructure damage in that. But even with 12 to 18 inches of snow and blowing wind, there will be infrastructure damage in that too, to the power grid. Maybe not as severe and widespread as it could be down here. We'll see how the ice plans in, but it's the game down here where, we hope Effingham gets a lot more snow because that means a lot less ice.
Yeah.
But the chance for ice down there really caught our eyes over the weekend. We started thinking, this isn't going to be so good.
I think the wild thing too is if you get 18 inches of snow, then people have to actually start thinking about the weight of snow on their roof. It's just so crazy. That's not something that people around here have ever really, think about that. In other parts of the country, Buffalo, and they get this lake effects, and they're out there shoveling snow off of the roof, and you get over 18 inches of snow, and that's actually something that you have to think about. You're like, how do I do that? Is that even possible? You got to think about like your air intakes on your home getting covered up with snow, and things like that. I mean, it's just a whole slew of things that we potentially just never even think about that could become bigger issues than just, hey, the roads are slick.
Yeah, I think back to the 99 event in January, and I remember as a kid driving through town, and we had awnings on downtown buildings that were, the weight just pulled them off the front of the building, open span buildings and whatnot. It was a factory, and the weight just collapsed the roof of the factory in town, or part of it there. What I want to do is look up first of all, see if I could find the weight of snow just to give a reference. Snow weighs approximately 20 pounds per cubic foot, or 1.25 pounds per inch of depth. So if you... It's crazy we have to think about this, but it is a... I'm not sure what the size of a standard roof would be, but I mean, you're talking each inch is adding a lot. We can handle 8-10 inches, no problem. But you're talking those higher end type of things, and you got to think about that.
Yeah.
The weight of all of that, and add a little ice on top of it, and that adds it exponentially. We think that we'll get the ice out of here, the I-72 corridor and whatnot, and that's why we've got low amounts. We can't really let out glaze in some spots, especially as that transition turns over here. I really think that this is an event, we're going to talk about it for a long time in Central Illinois, and we have to delicately balance the hype, doom and gloom with the reality where we're just sitting here and we stood here for an hour and a half and looked at our snowfall forecast map and just
we were questioning. Actually, I found an old graphic, and pardon the old, but like
the retro years.
The retro years. And
here we go.
Here we go. We can just kind of show this, but. Let's see here. Fluffy snow, normal snow, and wet snow. And so here's your ratios. So your normal is your 10-to-1, 6.2 pounds per square foot. So fluffy snow is Dodge Ram, 6,200 pounds. And Dodge Ram and a little, I don't know, Kia Forte.
No. Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh, look at this wet snow, 5-to-1 ratio, 18,000 pounds. Most roof can withstand 20 pounds per square foot. At least that's what.
Yeah, we talk about this, and I do want to say I don't think we're going to have widespread homes roofs collapse.
No,
reiterate that.
No,
but it's fascinating to think about how much weight there is.
Yeah, how much weight that you're going to have.
I'll be very interested in more open span rooms, big box marks and things of that. I don't think we're going to have widespread failures of those, but some type of damage from all of the weight of this snow in that capacity, I guess. You can't just say it's not happening. You actually, at this point, start thinking, well, if there's a weak spot or a rusty joint or something, I'm not an engineer. We aren't, saying that's going to happen, but there's a lot of snow and a lot of weight, too. The other thing, I was just talking with some folks on my dinner break, and, they were talking in the 70s, the drifting. Sure. And they remember there were such big drifts that when they were kids, the livestock were just walking over the drifts and getting out of the pens and stuff, and they were drifting up to the roofs, and they would walk out their second floor window and then be on top of all the snow and stuff like that. Okay, maybe that doesn't happen that extreme.
Yeah.
But that's an event that people are going to remember. This could be an event that the young folks will remember for the rest of their lives. A lot of us will maybe see similarities to older events, but each event is unique. Each event has its own impacts and whatnot. And we'll see. Maybe we can get Effingham up to the 8-to-12, and we'll lose that 2-to-4 if we get the ice and the cold to push through a little quicker. Still some uncertainty down there, but this 12-to-18, I think there's going to be some areas that are 18 and maybe a little bit above that. You had that graphic, the 5 counties you thought might overperform, and I think we all were thinking that from the start. was it McLean, Ford,
Plain,
Iroquois,
Fort,
Livingston, and maybe parts of Champaign.
maybe northern Champaign
So-
County there. So yeah, you go Rantoul, northward there, and you could even say Hoopston here. And
Hoopston, Paxton, Gibson, Forest, Fairbury, Piper City, Gilman, Onarga, Paxton, Buckley, Lota, Watseka, Donovan.
yeah, if there's a chance to get to 18 and exceed it, those are the areas where that will occur. And it's just, I think that a lot of that may actually have, what will make the difference with that is actually probably going to be tomorrow night's snow.
Yeah, how fast is transition?
How fast is a transition? If it transitions faster, I think you could overperform in those areas. If it doesn't, then maybe you're not going to. But I think that is the one area where you go, okay, because if you get an extra few inches, then there you go.
We'll probably wake up Wednesday morning and have a really good idea on.
Yeah, exactly. You'll have a way better idea of what these numbers are actually going to be because you're going to see how quickly everything transitioned over, and so
And one of those problems too is the Wednesday round. It's two distinct rounds. I know you talked about that. The Wednesday round, we can see the data and it's onshore and whatnot. That Thursday round technically is still
out
a little bit
just kinda
offshore.
coming on. Maybe some of the 0Z models tonight it will start
We'll
to
pick
tap
up on
into
that and give us some-
and we'll see if everything. As a matter of fact, the new 0Z NAM's just kind of coming in here slowly. We're not quite all the way through it, but I mean everything's still looking pretty much on par. I think it's just amazing, how you're going to have 18 hours of snow and then maybe another 18 hours of snow. It's just wild to think how much snow that you could actually have. They're falling in two different rounds there, and that's why you could get some really high amounts here. Let's see here. Look for any other last
While you look at
questions.
some of those questions, you think about hurricanes, and I'm not saying it's a hurricane, but a lot of people get caught off guard when they're in the eye of the hurricane. Oh, it's over. And then the second half comes and it's just as bad. I mean, in the way, the break, I will have people say, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And try and go out and do things. There's still going to be blowing and drifting snow during that time, but the rates aren't going to be there. So
The other thing, and somebody's asked the question, well, what's the best way to measure snow in
That's a
wind?
great question.
And that is really difficult to do. And actually, one of my best friends lives in Boston, and of course they just got hit this past weekend with snow. And I was asking him, hey, go out and measure snow. And he's like, it's unbelievable. He's like, some areas there's like a couple inches, and then I go over here and it's like 30 inches.
Yeah.
And he's like, how do I get out there and get what's the proper measurement of the snow? And sometimes you can't just do that in your yard because, depending upon all the drifting and all that. So you almost kind of have to find, and I use this example because we've seen it a million times. People love sitting in the pictures, call it the picnic table snow or the grill snow. If there's not a kind of a wind influence on there, sometimes you can actually get a pretty good measurement off
that
of
Monticello event was that way.
Yeah.
No wind.
Yeah.
They got 8 inches, and it was a good actual 8-inch reporting.
So it'll be difficult to measure the snow, and I hope we don't get and here's what I can see happening. We get this snow, somebody goes out and they measure and they go, oh, it's really 4 inches of snow. You guys are horrible.
And
They're
then
so wrong.
behind them
Exactly. So because of the blowing and drifting, it will make it very difficult to do this. But they'll have the official observation, of course, at various locations throughout the area.
I think, too, at a certain point, numbers are numbers. You want to focus on impacts. Whether it's, 8 inches or 18 inches, in my mind, is still, we had that 8-inch snow last winter in Champaign when the county plows pulled off the county roads and we're done for the night.
Yeah.
That was 8 inches.
Yeah.
At a certain point, it just becomes too much snow, and that's kind of what we're looking at here with this event anyways. So whether or not Iroquois County and Ford County get 18 or maybe shoot a little higher so Kevin can eat a shoe, or if we're down towards 12, I still think with the wind, the potential for the wind gust of 35, 40 and that.
Well, everybody keeps asking I've got something I need to do. Can I get out and drive in this? Can I? And I already went through this, but say, hey, that's a personal decision that you have to make. I can't make that for you, but you have to. If you're gonna pull the trigger and you're gonna go, you better have everything you need prepared and prepare to be stuck. Just know that if you get in your car and you go out and you drive in the middle of potential blizzard-like conditions, you better just plan on getting stuck.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with that, then roll the dice. But if you're not ready for that, you don't have the proper things, I wouldn't chance it. And I know some people have to get out there because here's the uncontrollables with this.
Yeah.
And that is, if they do pull the snowplow driver, think about this. You're driving and they're like, okay, we're done plowing the roads.
So you're out
Now
there.
what? And you're out there. You can't do anything about it. Can't control that. That's nothing you can't control what some of the other drivers do. That's what kind of the running joke. It's the other driver. It's not me. It's the other driver you got to worry about.
Mom says.
Yeah, right. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. Everybody's got to make their own decision, and that's kind of how we do it. But again, I think that there's going to be county travel bans.
I think so too. Very much so. Too. And not by choice.
Yeah.
Not because they don't like you or they want to control you, because legitimately, this is the type of snow event where a lot of your essential services are stretched thin and stressed.
Yeah.
I think back to 2011, the Groundhog's Day blizzard here. This is probably, I guess, another Groundhog's Day winter storm.
Yeah, it is.
So,
well, that was the last blizzard that I really covered down in Springfield, Missouri. It was in 11. It's funny because I just had things showing up on my timeline, taking me back to that, which is kind of crazy. That was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
But.
Jeez, I was a senior in high school then.
Yeah, my God, this guy. I think that blizzard conditions are going to be, again, you have to hit the criteria. They're very particular about 3 hours,
It's a technical
mile,
thing.
It's
It's not an impacts thing.
Yeah. So whether we have it or not, I don't think it really actually matters, to be honest.
That blizzard, though, was unique because I remember in Gibson City, the National Guard, after the storm, was flying through the area with helicopters to rescue people on roads that were trapped in that event. Again, different event, different set of circumstances, different setup, but that much snow, and you talk about drifting in the country, they're going to have their hands full and then some.
If we would get over 18 inches, that's obviously the most snow I will have ever seen in my lifetime in this area, for sure. I think I remember maybe like a 15-inch maybe back when I was in grade school in the 90s. But if we get these 18-inch amounts, I mean that's just wild to me to just kind of fathom and think about, because those numbers don't happen. It's a climatologically thing that doesn't happen here, and it's a generational thing to have.
Generational, that's a great way to put it.
An 18-inch event, if that occurs, and God, if you exceed that, I mean, just wild.
So. Time will tell. I mean, hopefully we're wrong, and it's sunny and 70.
And that's what I said. I go, hey, listen, here's the thing. We're here looking at all the data. We're using our knowledge and the science that we have in front of us to put out the best forecast. Could it underperform? Well, maybe. Could it?
You hope so.
Some of you hope so. I know some of you. It's so the difference between people that want the snow and don't want the snow. It's like split. It's like 50-50. There's like half the people that really want the snow, the other half that doesn't want the snow. Regardless, though, I don't care which side you land on there. You just got to be prepared.
Yeah.
Either way, because if you want the snow, and it gets here, well, you better be prepared. If you don't want it, and it comes, you got to be prepared still. Did you hit up any stores on your dinner break there?
Actually, I told my fiance, and I gave her my credit card, which I probably will never, ever do again. I said, go to the store.
Rule number 1, don't do that.
Go to the store, get a bunch of snacks, and I even told her, get a gallon or 2 of water, just so we have it, just in case. We're going to fill up stuff just in case. Water system shouldn't be impacted, but...
Well, I want to make this mention, because this is something, you brought this up. Okay, so we're going to get a ton of rain.
There you go, water, a different type of water.
We're going to get a ton of rain here. Wet, you're going to have this rain coming down, and it's going to be seeping down through the ground. And what's going to be running? Your sump pumps.
Yeah.
And when I get an inch of rain, my sump pump runs for a few days. If you lose power, now your sump pump's not running and pushing the water out.
Yeah.
Now you got an issue in your basement with flooded basements. You may not think about that because, you're talking
eyes on this. This is what everyone's looking at.
Yeah, but if I would get an inch of rain, my sump pump's gonna be trying to kick out that water because it takes forever for that to seep through all the ground and it just keeps pumping it out. Lost power now because it's ice and there's wind, and now my sump pump's not pumping out water. So just be thinking of that too, because they're going to get actually quite a bit of rain down here, and then they get the ice.
Some spots, 1-2 inches, if not more than that, from that.
Yeah, so the sump pump thing is something you may not think about. So
it'll be interesting to see. I hope I never forecast an event like this ever again. Yeah. And I hope we're wrong, and you guys can take us tooth and nail to the wall and nail us to it. But, again, the numbers, you said 12 and we got 11. Mm-hmm. The impacts is what you got to think about here. How is this going to impact? This is going to drastically impact your day. In many cases, school closures, maybe some folks, especially with ice, have power outages. Your driveways in rural areas are going to snow over. In some of our small rural towns, we got 300 some towns in the area.
Yeah.
A lot of those smaller towns, the roads to get there, drifting over, it'll take time for the plows to get through all those county roads. In a township, I'm thinking of townships that I know in Ford County. A township is an average of 36 square miles, and so they've got 6 miles of road times 6. So they got 72 miles of road on average. 6 miles, 6 roads, and then same thing across. If you have a nice perfect grid. Sometimes they only have 1 or 2 township snowplow drivers and some of those rural ones. How long does it take you to get down 72 miles of roads plowing? They'll try and do what they can continuously, but this just going to be interesting to see.
I'll leave you with this final thought, because there is one thing that I am absolutely confident of, no matter what.
I'm a little worried about where you're going with this.
We're giving away a snowblower.
There it is.
In Champaign and in Spring. Mark my word.
Yeah.
Now, you along with 1,000 other people probably went and put your guess in for Wednesday now. But so now you're competing against them in a random drawing, because thousands of other people probably picked that day.
Somebody put their name in the drawing, months ago for this day.
And they're gonna
be so mad.
I know, right?
They're like, I said that in November.
I said that in November, and you wish that you could, give them the benefit of the doubt there.
Now, I did see that the actual automated observation in Springfield is offline. So does that affect it at all?
Well, I think they still take the measurements from the airport.
Just making sure, because all of a sudden the big M pops
I
up
think
there.
that them at the tower at SPI, they're still the weather service is having them go out and stick the ruler in the ground, and So I don't know if you know somebody there, maybe might be able to.
You just got to take a picture and
there you go.
At least 3 inches.
Yeah. Jacob's going to be on the 9 o'clock here, coming up in 22 minutes.
You're in the 10, and then
Be the 10, and then Amelia will be back in the morning. Jack on the 9 and noon tomorrow. Again, we're not worried about any frozen precip until probably tomorrow night's 9 o'clock
after
newscast.
sunset, I think is a good.
Yeah, Ford and Iroquois County first. Again, that's the $1 million question. How quick do they transition over to the snow? And that'll tell us a lot. But tomorrow night's 9 and 10 o'clock, we'll have the storm tracker out, and 3/4 of the weather team in here as Amelia will then prepare to get ready for the morning show. And
we'll see if we keep the storm tracker out.
yeah, exactly.
That's the other thing.
We have to.
We're having those conversations.
If it's too bad, obviously pulling the storm tracker off the road, and at least maybe just parking it somewhere, and Jack can stand out there and just
You want to stick me in there? I'm like, I'll drive after tornadoes all the time. But this, I'm like,
yeah. He's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap things up here. Thanks to everybody who joined in here in the conversation. Share the Facebook Lives and everything, friends and family. A lot of good information that came down with this, and
I think we'll be planning another one tomorrow night. Probably.
Oh yeah.
So
we'll jump in again tomorrow evening, probably right before things really start to ramp up. So in that 7:30 to 8:30 time frame again, and boy, we'll have a lot of information probably at our disposal at that point, and we'll get you through it. We'll be here together. We've already started talking about, are we sleeping at the station? Are we on air mattresses and tents out here? These are real conversations that we have to have.
Yeah. I did that for an ice storm in Oklahoma. 3 days on an air mattress.
We're hoping we don't lose power, obviously, as well, but we'll figure out a way to get a broadcast out.
Somehow,
we might be going to Lighty's Lounge to do it, because I do have a generator.
Yeah?
No, not a whole house one, but I got one, and we'll at least we can get some essential.
Yeah, we're having those conversations too. You think about it. Maybe another last piece of advice too is make sure your phone's plugged in, and just leave it plugged in if you can.
Charge your phones up, get all that.
Probably more power concern for icy areas, but you can't rule it out.
Yeah.
Someone driving takes a power pole out, you're out.
Exactly. Okay, guys.
Cool.
Thanks again. Appreciate you. Best of luck to everybody.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.